Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Got another mock draft for you guys here today. We are getting closer and closer to the draft. I believe we're 18 days away as of today's recording. So by the time this comes out, we'll be, a little under 3 weeks away, which is fantastic. But before we get started, if you guys could like the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you're new and hit the notification bell as well. So 3-round mock draft this go around. I'm going to try and base my decisions sort of loosely on what the Cowboys have been looking for with the 30 visits and kind of just off of rumors. So I'm not going off of who I think the Cowboys should take. I'm going off of what I believe Dallas might do come draft night, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go through first the needs and kind of just where I'm leaning towards as we enter the draft. So right now, I do believe that your must-address positions are offensive line, linebacker, wide receiver, edge, and kicker. Again, I'm not even going to put it in an order at that point, except for O-line being the first one. I think that realistically speaking, edge, linebacker, and wide receiver are all in the same realm of how much of it is a need. Now, kicker, it really comes down to what the Cowboys want to do. Again, this is something that they could take care of in the preseason. Secondary needs, I would say, would be safety, tight end, and defensive tackle, I would argue. The Cowboys did just sign a running back from the Chicago Bears, Ryan Hall, or whatever the hell his name is. I don't really care. Not to be rude like that, but primarily I think that the Cowboys might not take a running back this go around, which I would say you might want to, but you can definitely just get someone next year. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into this mock draft. I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. Kenyan Green, guard, Texas A&M. I've already talked about this guy on numerous occasions, and the reason why I would be looking at taking him here, or rather why I think the Cowboys would take him, is because based off of indications, the Dallas Cowboys are looking to upgrade their offensive line, and more specifically that guard position. I think at center, they have pretty much established that they are okay, so I don't believe that even if Tyler Linderbaum was on the board, they would take him. Now, I would feel a little bit different if Tyler Linderbaum was the only offensive lineman on the board that I would remotely be like, okay, that's fine. But I think that Kenyan Green's the pick if he's there at 24. And most of the other players that were on the board were Zion Johnson, Jahan Dotson, and several other players that we've usually talked about on here. Now, again, I want to stress this. If you are a big fan of Zion Johnson, I don't blame you there. I like him as well. But if you're going to pull out, I'm not saying anyone that has been saying this with Zion Johnson is wrong, but I think that if you're talking about versatility, which the Dallas Cowboys love that position flexibility, Kenyan Green has more position flexibility than Zion Johnson. He's played every single position on the offensive line, at least one snap, and more specifically, he's played at least several hundred snaps at every other position. So Kenyan Green has experience all across the board. I think you plug him in at left guard, you got a young guy that you're going to have for 10 plus years. So I think that that's the guy at 24. I don't have to go any further than that, plain and simple. Marvin Layne, interior defensive lineman, Texas A&M. Cowboys go back to Texas A&M for a player that's also linked to Dallas. He had a visit with the Cowboys, and on top of that, they do like this guy. Okay, we're talking about a guy that played 3-tech primarily, and I know a lot of people have talked about, we want a 1-tech, we want this. I think for me, right, the biggest thing is that I think with Marvin Layne coming to Dallas, I think you're getting a guy that's going to be a solid starter at that 3-tech, right? And this is where I get kind of weary with the defensive lineman position, specifically our interior, because the Cowboys like to do a rotation on the interior, which is fine and everything, but I think the biggest thing why I'm taking Marvin Layne also is because I think with Tristan Hill, him being up and down in his play, and also him probably not going to be back next year, I think you take this guy to be his replacement. And, you have guys like Osa there and Neville Gallimore, but I think you get another young guy in the fold that you get a chance for Dan Quinn to mold. I would love to see him in Dallas. I think that he would fit perfectly in the scheme that Dan Quinn's trying to run. He's a very explosive player for the position that he's at. And overall, he's a very good player in the, playing the run. Um, he's played multiple positions on the defensive lineman, which again is another key reason why I would link him to Dallas. But again, that's just this mock draft going around here. We're just going with players that have links to the Dallas Cowboys. So I think the Marvin Layne would not be a bad selection at all. There are other defensive linemen that I would like as well, but I think you couldn't go wrong here. In terms of other guys that were on the board at this point in time, I was looking at George Pickens and, interestingly enough, Tyler Linderbaum was actually falling, and if he had made it to pick 56, I would have made an argument to just do that, just to kind of have that. You have guys like Chad Muma and all these other individuals, but I think what I would look at is just, what that second pick can do for you. It has to be a guy that you're going to say, I'm making this guy a starter. So for me, I think DeMarvin Leal would be a starter, but that's just my personal opinion. So let's go ahead and move on to our final third round selection. Brandon Smith, linebacker, Penn State. So you could argue that I'm being a bit biased here because of the Penn State affiliation. If you don't know, I pretty much, you could argue I'm a Penn State alum. I've been following the team for such a long time. But with that being said, though, I think that for what the Cowboys are looking to do, they are looking to possibly add another linebacker in this draft. Now, there have not been official reports out there, but I have been told from people at the school and stuff like that they are slightly looking at some of the linebackers here, but not seriously. But primarily, the Cowboys need to add another linebacker. I think that they will add another one in this draft because, look, when you brought back Leighton Vander Esch and Luke Gifford on those one-year deals, right? You're pretty much banking on, at this juncture, Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox being your two main guys, which that's fine. But, it really comes down to how Jabril looks after that injury. And I don't feel comfortable with that, just those two guys. I need one more guy in the mix that I believe that if I saw anything with what Dan Quinn did with Micah Parsons and how he was able to develop him and how he was able to attack defenders, I think that Brandon Smith would fit really well with what Dallas is trying to do here. Dallas gets better on their interior of the defensive line. They get better at the linebacking core. And then, kind of going back to the first round, you're getting a guy that's shoring up your offense. If your offensive line isn't good, then your entire offense is going to be crap. And that's what happened to Dallas down the tail end of the season. But I think for Dallas long term, they need to get some young guys on this defensive line and in this linebacking core, because you might be looking at Tristan Hill walking, Carlos Watkins is back for another year. We don't know how Quentin Bahana is going to develop. So I would rather just take a guy that I know that I can plug and play. I don't want rotational pieces and these guys are all starter quality players. But these are all being linked to the Dallas Cowboys. That's my 3-round mock draft. Again, this is not who I would take. Then again, Brandon Smith in the third is a definite must at that point. However, the first two, I would probably take a George Pickens. I would probably maybe look somewhere else depending on, how the other, picks would have fell. Maybe even possibly looked at trading back. But this is our mock draft this go around. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.